What comes to mind when you think of a frog? A little jumping creature that sits quietly somewhere nearby, waiting for a tasty insect to hop closer, and then it's open season. But there are some frogs which are different from this archetype, and they're incredibly tiny. Yet they still have what it takes to protect themselves from predators. Watch how this tiny frog deals with its enemy. Even though it's very small, no one wants to mess with it. And you will soon understand why. If you watch it again, you will notice that the frog doesn't have the opportunity to escape. It was cornered. If it were any ordinary frog, it would definitely be dead meat. But this one has something up its sleeve. Actually, all over its skin. Tiny frogs often become victims of predatory birds, lizards, and snakes. They can't outrun them, and they can't fight back. So evolution took care of this problem. You will be surprised to learn how these creatures defend themselves. These little frogs live in the tropical forests of Central and South America. They are so small that they fit comfortably in the palm of your hand. Their weight is less than 2 ounces. These frogs spend their days hiding under leaves and creepers, but they are active hunters. When dusk falls, they go out in search of food. As soon as an insect gets close enough, the frog grabs it and swallows it whole. Sounds like a typical frog, right? But things change when we talk about what exactly these frogs are eating. Some species of these frogs prefer to feast on ants and termites. Others supplement their diet with beetles. The menu of these forest dwellers includes more than 1,000 different kinds of insects. That's a lot of options for such a tiny predator. But here's the catch. Many of the insects these frogs eat contain alkaloid toxins. Alkaloids are organic compounds that have at least one nitrogen atom and several other atoms in their structure. These substances are made by plants, fungi, and microorganisms. While alkaloids can have a wide range of effects, many of them are poisonous. In fact, alkaloids are responsible for most of the poisons found in nature. Frogs, being cold-blooded animals, cannot get rid of these toxins by sweating them out. They also do not excrete them through their kidneys, nor do they decompose in the digestive tract. What to do? It's simple. Some parts of the frog's body store these dangerous compounds, including its liver, skin glands, and urinary bladder. However, the most common storage site is the frog's skin. Yep, the skin becomes a sponge, absorbing all those toxins from inside. Now it's clear why these frogs need such protection. Not every predator is willing to risk getting poisoned. But where did the poison come from? You might think that the frog produces it all by itself. Nope. The poison is assembled from the building blocks that the little frog eats along with the ants. It absorbs these components and transforms them into batrachotoxins. These are steroid alkaloids, which are considered to be some of the strongest toxins on our planet. But this isn't the only type of toxin that these frogs have in their arsenal. They also synthesize other highly toxic alkaloids, storing them just beneath the top layer of their skin. The toxicity of these frogs is so high that just 1 milligram of the poison secreted by golden poison dart frogs, Philobates terribilis, is enough to kill an adult human. These little frogs secrete 2 milligrams of this deadly poison. No wonder they are listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most poisonous creatures on Earth. How does the poison work? It blocks sodium channels in nerve cells. Ion channels are protein complexes embedded in cell membranes. They control the flow of ions in and out of the cell, allowing the nerve fibers to transmit signals. Blocking these channels prevents the transmission of signals to the nerves and muscles, leading to paralysis. The affected person first experiences numbness at the site of contact, and then the poison spreads through the body via the lymphatic system, causing paralysis of the respiratory muscles and eventually death. But not all glass frogs have such a potent poison. For example, the strawberry poison dart frog secretes tetrodotoxin. It blocks sodium channels in nerve cells, which makes it impossible for the nerve fibers to send signals. This toxin is also found in pufferfish, but the amount of tetrodotoxin in a tiny frog is much more significant than in fish. It can reach 16,000 units per gram of dry frog. To put it simply, if you accidentally eat a poisonous frog, you won't live to see the next sunrise. But not all tiny frogs use this particular method of protection. Some other frogs growing to around 1 inch in length secrete toxin. This alkaloid stimulates nicotinic acetylcholine receptors in muscle cells, blocking the transmission of signals from nerves to muscles. This leads to paralysis of the limbs and respiratory muscles. So we figured out that the poison of these frogs works by blocking ion channels in nerve cells. But what if instead of paralyzing their victims, the poison just hurts really bad? Well, then the danger would be obvious and predators would avoid these frogs. But the thing is, the poison of these little frogs is practically tasteless and odorless. Frogs can safely secrete their poison while sitting on a leaf, and insects crawling past them will have no idea what's going on. After a while, they'll die and the frogs will get another meal, and the cycle will continue. In addition to poisonous skin, some frogs sport a bright color that serves as a warning to potential predators. This phenomenon is known as Aposematism, from the Greek word apo, meaning away, and semia, meaning sign. Basically, it's like posting a big bright sign on yourself saying, "Beware, I'm toxic." These frogs usually display a combination of yellow, red, and neon green hues. The conspicuous coloration ensures that predators can spot them from afar, increasing the chances of avoiding a potentially fatal encounter. And let's be honest, who would want to take a bite out of something that looks like a tiny frog covered in colorful warts? Now it might seem like common sense that predators should avoid brightly colored frogs, but some still give in to their instincts and try to eat them. Surprisingly, this works out well for the frogs. Most predators spit them out immediately after trying to swallow them. The taste is so unpleasant that even a tiny nibble is enough to make them do so. And you know what they say? Curiosity killed the cat. Although in this case, it's more like curiosity almost killed the predator, because frogs with aposematic coloring rarely fall victim to predators. Despite their small size, they manage to avoid becoming someone's lunch. Now you understand why having a big, strong body isn't always necessary to survive. Sometimes it's enough to be smart and use chemicals as a weapon. But why wouldn't evolution simply give these frogs strong jaws and sharp teeth instead of making them secrete poison? After all, it's so much easier to deliver a bite than to wait until someone accidentally licks you. It's simple. When you're very small, you can't afford to waste energy and resources on growing bigger. Also, increasing muscle mass doesn't make sense if you're not going to use them. Take a look at these frogs. Do you think they could pose a serious threat to a predator if they had claws and fangs? If you think so, then you'd be wrong. For small frogs, the best defense is to be so disliked that nobody wants to touch them. That's why evolution selected for frogs with the strongest toxins relative to their body size. Why do you think we didn't talk about blue poison dart frogs? There aren't any. Blue poison dart frogs simply don't exist. And there's a reason behind this. If a small frog has bright, noticeable coloring, it means it's poisonous. Predators quickly learn to associate these colors with danger and stay away. But what if the frog is brown or gray and blends in with the environment? Then it needs another way to tell predators it's poisonous. For instance, it can make its skin bumpy. Even without seeing the color, the predator will understand it's better not to mess with it. Interestingly, not only frogs use this trick. Take, for example, the rough-sided brush-footed butterfly. It feeds on poisonous plants and stores toxic compounds in its body. The compounds make it unpalatable to predators. Plus, the butterfly has a special scale on its wings that warns off attackers. Another great example is the monarch butterfly. Its caterpillars feed on milkweed plants, which contain cardiac glycosides. These compounds are stored in the butterfly's body throughout its life and serve as protection against predators. Similarly, certain beetles accumulate cantharidin in their tissues, a compound that's toxic to many animals. These beetles have no other defense other than their chemical protection. Frogs, however, seem to be the champions of accumulating poisons. The smallest of them are just 1 inch long, yet they are capable of killing predators many times their size. And it's not just about their toxins. Small frogs also produce sounds that indicate their unpalatability. In other words, they scream, "Don't eat us, we're poisonous." Now, after learning all this, it's hard to believe that anyone would want to eat these frogs. But there are people who love exotic food. So maybe someday someone will decide to hunt for the smallest poisonous frogs. But if they do, they should remember one important detail. Even if they somehow manage to catch and prepare these frogs, they won't be able to neutralize their poison. Heat, drying, and freezing don't break down these compounds, so the dinner could end up being lethal. This is truly nature's way of showing that good things come in small packages. And not all of them are cute and harmless. Some can pack a punch that you won't forget. This is all for now. Thank you for watching and see you in next video.